How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Mesozoic Media Park. So last time we built some prehistoric planet-inspired enclosures. We did the Austroraptor and we also did the Dinochirus. Today we're going to do primitive war. We're probably going to focus on more so a Utah Raptor style enclosure since Utah Raptor is like the primary antagonist in the film. So we're going to have like a pathway go over here, I think. And then we can have the enclosure sort of in this section over here. I'm trying to fill in as many things as I could possibly fill in. That way we're utilizing the space in a way that makes sense, if that makes sense. So for the Utah Raptor enclosure, of course, a large part of the Primitive War movie and the novel take place in the jungle. Instead of just doing that, I'm also going to place down like the research facility, which is where most of the main characters kind of like hold up. So it's going to be like this giant sort of concrete building. I think it'd be pretty cool to have. Now, the question is, how do I want to do the viewing into this enclosure? We've done a lot of fences recently. So this time I think I want to do something a little bit different. And by a little bit different, I mean rocks. It's not really different. That's the joke because I've done rocks a lot. It's kind of like my go-to, really. We can have like a giant platform up here that acts as the viewing, and then something I like to do is place some rocks sort of like along here so that it looks like it's kind of built up onto rocks, and it kind of looks like the rocks are actually what's keeping the animals in. Also kind of differentiates it from the prehistoric park section over here. Looking a little bit like that. Then most of the enclosure will probably just be encased in rocks. We can scale these up. And maybe try to make this look a little bit like a valley in a way. Kind of like, Vulture Valley. Because that's where they are. The thing. And I don't want it to be too terribly big either. There we go. And now the fun part is going to be building the actual structure. Because as we know, I'm not good at building stuff. I'm quite terrible, really. But we can simply use concrete. It's a fairly simple building, so I don't think it'll be anything too crazy. So yeah, for the most part, it's kind of like a giant block. I can also put a lot of vegetation into it to make it look like it was something that was kind of taken back by the earth. Which ultimately will kind of make it, look nicer. And in terms of like this being a park, it'll kind of look like it's a bit of a shelter for the Utah Raptors. So it kind of works out. And then we'll just do this sort of roof right here. I'm also going to dress it up a little bit so that it's not just, so blocky. I want to make it look a little bit nicer. So we'll add some decorations and things to the outside to make it look like this enclosure kind of has a little bit more of a theming to it. We're also not just going to add Utah Raptor. We will add another dinosaur. So, stay tuned to find out what that's going to be. I'm sure that many of you probably already know. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you think you know. But in reality, you don't know. You just think that you know when... Okay, I'm done. Holy cow, these awnings are not exactly what I had hoped they would be. Maybe we can add like a bit of a tent kit right here. That way, it's like, oh, hey, the Utah Raptors, they have a little bit of shade, Plus, it would kind of just dress it up a little bit. A lot of what I'm basing this off of comes from, like, the Primitive War novel, where the building looks a little bit different. It looks a little bit more detailed than how it was portrayed in the film. Maybe more like this, perhaps. It seems to fit the style a little bit better, so I think I'll just, like, kind of go around the whole thing like this. Okay, and then probably do a corner, potentially. There we go. Like that. There's also like 4 pillars on each side that kind of like, of course, support it. So I'll do that too. Kind of like that. Yeah. We are starting to cook with fire with this one. Okay, and then also in the image there's obviously like a bunch of crates and stuff. A lot of stuff that lets you know that this was a facility that was once being run, but now it's like a little bit more abandoned. Even some tires, we could put some tires there. Gosh, I just wish that you could make it bigger than that, but that's fine. Honestly, we'll put some of these all over the place. Just scatter them all over the place. Make it look like, again, the whole goal is to make this look abandoned. In fact, it would probably make sense if I had some on their side, kind of like that. Like the earth is starting to grow into it, or well, the earth is starting to take it back. Yes, we have some crates. There are crates all over it in the picture. So we can just kind of fill this up with those. Maybe put like a crate on top of this. But yeah, someone just set it down temporarily before they died. That's a big crate. A big crate like this. Okay, and then is there like pallets or something? I feel like there is. Because I could stack some pallets. That's a fossil crate. I thought that was like already stacked pallets, but I feel like I've seen pallets before. I mean, there's a forklift. Pallets would kind of make sense, right? Oh, there's pallets on here. There's some pallets. Yes. Stack some pallets. There we go. This is like my first time like actually using this stuff. We'll put this over here, the shed. You know, it's like this is another place that they had stuff. So they're just, you know, like, oh, I have to go out and grab something. Okay, now a couple more things I want to do. I want to put more windows in. There we go. We got more windows. And now let's make it so that nature is claiming back. Now let's make it so that nature is claiming this. So we'll do some of this around side the outside. I'll keep the dirt in there as well. It's kind of like helps with my point. And then just lush jungle all over the place out here. Okay, that's a little bit of a primitive war inspired enclosure. So now I just need to get the viewing up and then we'll get our beautiful raptors in here. Okay, and then it says Jurassic Park, but honestly, the cool thing is that I can fix that. What I'll be able to do is, of course, I'll be able to put text up there that says primitive war. I won't do it yet, but we're going to do that at some point. What I also want to do right now is surround this with rocks. That way there's like no way for the guests to walk in. Oops, it looks like I messed up a little bit down here. There we go. Much better. There we go. So yeah, you'll be able to look inside here and potentially see some Utah raptors walking around. So we'll put like 3 in there. 3 Utah raptors. One of them will obviously represent Cyclops, and the others will just be other Utah raptors. So they do have kind of like an iridescent blue coloration. So this is probably as close as we can get to the primitive war-esque Utah raptors, but it's really not too far off. So I'm quite happy with it. Okay, while we're getting them in, it's time to work on my second enclosure idea. So the second one, what I want is to have this kind of be like a tunnel, right? There's a tunnel that you're walking through a little bit past the prehistoric park entrance over here. And then there'll be an kind of like an indoor enclosure with a Deinonychus. Because in the movie, of course, we do see some Deinonychus inside a cave, and I think that'd be fun. Now, they won't just be in the cave. I'll have like half of their enclosure be a cave, half of their enclosure be outside. But like once you're walking through the cave, I think it'd be kind of cool if you can potentially see some Deinonychus on your way. So you would like enter, let's say like right here, right into the cave of woe, like that, like this. And then the cave sort of opens up a little bit where you get this really sick indoor portion again with the Deinonychus in here. And then from that point on, it opens up into an outdoor portion. And then, you know, the Deinonychus, they can go outside or inside because we do see them both inside and outside in the movie. So might as well, you know, have both. Okay, so most of this will be in the cave. In fact, actually, the cave exit would be probably closer to like right here. So this is where the exit of the cave would be. Cave exit, and then there's like a little space over here where the Deinonychus can walk in and out. Put a little bit of a roof right there. And then this will be out their outdoor section. To emphasize their outdoor section, we're going to have some fences. Plus, we can use the new beautiful feathered Deinonychus for this enclosure, which is pretty dang exciting. Actually, to emphasize the enclosure in general, it'll be a fence. Just don't stick your fingers through the fence, all right? Have a Deinonychus bite it off. We'll get some rock in here. Hopefully it'll look a little bit better in the dark. Kind of worried about that. It's going to be extremely dark in here, though. That's like one of the biggest problems because lights don't actually turn on until it's like nighttime. So I can place some lights in here, but they won't be on until, you know, I actually switch it to dark. So in order to show off the enclosure, of course, I will have it at night. Actually, it says cast light right there. Wonder if they updated it. I'm actually not too certain. But we'll put some of these lights in the walls, and hopefully we can get some light when it's dark in here. Okay, I guess we'll see how that works. Now it's time to put the roof on this cave. Well, actually, first I need to get the Deinonychus in there. Well, I guess I could do it on the outside. Now we'll get them in there first, and then I'll start adding the roof. We also need to add, at the very least, like a little bit of vegetation in their outdoor section. You know, this is just a place that they can chill and hang out. Okay, Deinonychus are inside, so I can put the rest of the roof on. I'm doing quite a few cave builds this time. I mean, you know, when you can, it makes sense. But there's the cave. There's the Deinonychus cave. You should be able to walk inside, and it's not as dark as I thought it was. It is very dark. It is very dark. You cannot see the Deinonychus at all. You could see them walking outside. At least they can walk outside. And I just realized that we should probably stop having them go fast. Let's get it to be nighttime real quick. And yeah, it doesn't look quite how I wanted it to. I was hoping that red would add some nice mood to it. I might have to add more over here and stuff, but yeah. You can see the Deinonychus. They're currently walking around. I'll go ahead and turn off. Yeah, I might have to change like the color of the lights. Maybe like white will do a little bit better. But you can kind of make out the outline of them, especially when you get close enough. So at least it seemed to work out, and kind of has like some of the terror that they had in the Primitive War movie. And of course, if they're not in there, you can come out here and check them out. It's kind of like how, you know, sometimes when you go to a zoo, there's like an indoor exhibit. And you look inside there and you can't find the animal that's supposed to be in that exhibit. So then you go outside and then you find it out there. That was kind of my intention with it, but that's pretty cool. I like that. I like how that turned out. Okay, so we can go ahead and check out the, I got to take that down too, but it's fine. Check out the Utah raptors. None of them are visible from this point, but fortunately, the power to look in. Okay, so here's one of them, at the very least. Couple of them. Here are our Primitive War Utah raptors. Here is our group of 3. One of them is most likely Cyclops, you know, and the other ones are other Utah raptors. Oh yeah, and I wanted to add this on. Looks like the Utah raptors are able to go inside, which I don't know why I thought they wouldn't be able to, but yeah, look at that. I mean, he went right out, or she went right outside immediately after, but yeah, still works. So yeah, that's our Primitive War little section right here. We managed to fill up a lot of this space quite well, but it looks like we're going to have to start expanding outward a little bit more again to start including new things. So yeah, be sure to recommend what you would like to see next, or request what you would like to see next, and I will be sure to try to get to as many as I possibly can. I can also do this very coolly. You get more of a chance to see the Ostroraptors. Yeah, I want more ways to like link up the enclosures or like the areas of the park so that everything kind of goes together nicely. But that's pretty cool. Take a nice little stroll through the woods, basically. Maybe we could put in another viewing area for the Dinochirus. Yeah, I know I say it every single episode, but I'm really loving how this is turning out. I love how grand everything feels. I love how much work we can put into each enclosure to make it just really nice, if you ask me. Like, I really like this. I'm having a great time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.